Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is William Heinman, your host, and this is Just Force 911, where we talk about what or how our public officials do their job or not do their job. And usually it's the latter part. So, anyhow, this one here is from Here's the Deal. Do me a favor, tell them I sent you. Go over there and check them out. They got a lot of good videos. I'm bringing you this one. It was done today, and it just set me off like you can't even imagine. Go over to Here's the Deal. Subscribe to him. Check him out. Hit his like and share. It helps his algorithms out. And while you're here, hit my subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Hit the bell icon so you know when we put out a new video. The like and share, and make sure you do the thumbs up or the thumbs down so I know how I'm doing. Leave me a comment. Thank you. This one here is the floods in North Carolina that went through, and a ex officer and rescue chief, fire chief, had a his own helicopter, and he was getting a bunch of phone calls and messages from people that were stranded. So he was going out and helping and picking them up and taking them to safety. And one of the one of the fire chiefs who was in charge of the area threw a fit because he wasn't part of their FEMA project. Ooh. You know, guys, our country is made up of those who jump in and help when, stuff goes sideways. Whether it's a hurricane, whether it's a tornado, whether it's a flood, we don't care. We're Americans. We jump in where we're needed. That's what we do. To have this low IQ minded moron who is so in depth in his own existence because he's a fire chief to turn down help from somebody that's already qualified just goes to prove that there's morons out there in every single capacity that we have. What a low-life piece of trash. Anyway, Here's the Deal says it better than I do. When I first watched this, I tried to do a video and I couldn't do it because I was so mad. I was spitting nails. So I waited and had some Dairy Queen and calmed down. And it's still a little bit overamped, but we'll get there. So check this video out. It's very disheartening. It's not disheartening for what the young man or what the guy did, but because some official clown decided that it wasn't right. What a bozo, man. They ought to, you know what they ought to do? The same stuff they used to do. They had to find this police chief, tar him, feather him, and then flog him because he's a moron. That's my opinion. Here we go.
Without government, who would threaten to arrest private civilian air crews who are trying to rescue very desperate people in North Carolina?
Back to the mountains, where remarkable stories of survival are now being shared days after Helene wreaked havoc in North Carolina. But one Pageland man's efforts to help are now the source of controversy. He flew his own chopper on his own dime to help stranded victims. But that man says he abandoned his rescue missions after a fire official threatened to have him thrown in jail.
A South Carolina pilot determined to save stranded victims in the aftermath of the hurricane found himself facing threats of arrest as he flew people to safety in flood-ravaged North Carolina.
This is the original post that I was reading when I decided to go up and help. It's a long post, but she's saying that her kids and family and animals are trapped. No way out, no supplies, and the only way in or out is accessible by helicopter. Limited cell service and no water since Friday morning.
Jordan Seedham, a former law enforcement officer turned rescuer, embarked on his life-saving mission over the weekend when local authorities warned him to stop, citing flight restrictions or face arrest. Seedham was undeterred at first, saying, "We spotted more victims just 300 to 400 yards from where we were flying out. People were waving for help as my son and I were leaving. With roads washed away and hundreds of people stranded, Sedum was moved to act after reading about a family trapped without water on a mountain in Banner Elk, which is a ski town devastated by the storm. He told reporters,
I thought I have a helicopter and maybe I can help.
Together with his teenage son Landon, Sedum flew water and food to the family.
This is the mountain valley that you would have to fly to get to Black Mountain, where we were escorting people out. This is a mountain range, and this is a mountain range. The only place to fly through with bad visibility, low cloud coverage, is Lake Lure.
But the duo, both volunteer firefighters, didn't stop there. By Saturday, they had rescued 4 people, 2 women stranded on a mountain and 2 vacationers trapped in an Airbnb, all of whom had run out of supplies. Sedum said they had no food, no running water, no power. He flew them to Charlotte Douglas Airport, where they were able to make their way home.
But my parents are stuck there. Their address is Banner Elk. They are in the first condo. If you receive this, please give me a call back. Thank you.
I mean, I could hear the desperation in her voice. This is multiple phone calls I've received like this, voicemails, text messages, and you could hear people desperate for help.
After a short rest, the father and son resumed their efforts on Sunday.
I spoke with my son, which is my co-pilot. I said, hey, do you want to go back out and try to help today? And his response was, there's so many messages, I don't think we can't not go help.
They came across a husband and wife whose house was barely standing after the flood. In a precarious situation, Sedum had his son exit the small helicopter to make room for the wife, whom he flew to first responders nearby.
Wait, hey, I want you to let me get in. You step out and go out, help her in, put her bag in the back, get her strapped in. I'm going to take her down, come back. I'll take him, I'll come back, and then I'll get you, okay? I originally left my son, co-pilot, on the side of the mountain. It was kind of unstable, so I didn't want to put more weight in the helicopter to lift back off. So I left my son with the other victim, and I was just going to take one person down at the time. And you could hear me in the video talking through with the victims and with my son what we were going to do. Told him my background experience, law enforcement, firefighting, pilot. He immediately started helping with coordination.
Now we're giving away the Vanish holster for free with the purchase of this, the Laser Strike.
He gave me radio frequencies to coordinate with them on, set up a landing area for me to come back with the other victim.
But as he prepared to return for his son and the husband, an official from Lake Lure's fire department intervened.
In the middle of the whole conversation and then blocking the road off, I was greeted by the, at that time I didn't know, but Lake Lure fire chief or assistant chief maybe, and he shut down the whole operation. So at that point I felt like the conversation wasn't going any further, and again he asked me to leave, and I said, hey, I have no problem getting out of your area. If that's what you want us to do, we'll leave, no issue.
Now some people say that was this guy, Fire Chief and Emergency Management Director Dustin Waycaster from the town of Lake Lure. Sedum said, I left my son and another victim on the mountain intending to return for them. But this official told me I wasn't going back. He threatened to have me arrested. Despite pleading with the official, Sedum was forced to abandon the rescue plan and leave the man stranded in his collapsing driveway. To add to the frustration, a temporary flight restriction was imposed over the area soon after the confrontation.
Was no flight restriction when you went in?
No flight restriction when I went in. It went in place 20 or 30 minutes after the confrontation with Mr.
You feel like that was coincidental, or do you think that was because of what happened?
I don't think it can be coincidental when there has not been one in place the day before doing rescue operations, the night of, the morning of, that took place after our altercation. I think there would have never been a TFR put in place had we not had that conversation. At that point, I asked him, what was the reason I had to leave them there, and he said, again, you're interfering with my operation. I just need you to get out of the area. I said, sir, I don't know where you were trained at, but I know how my training is, and I'm not going to leave personnel behind. I'm going back to get my co-pilot. He said, if you turn around and go back up the mountain, you're going to be arrested. I said, well, sir, I'm going back to get my co-pilot. I don't know what to tell you. And he said, I'm letting you know. And at that point, he waved for 2 law enforcement officers to come over and told me that again, if I go back up the mountain, I would be arrested.
In violation of the tyrannical edict, Sedum flew his helicopter back to pick up his son, leaving the woman's husband standing in the same dire situation, only now separated from his wife. And during the imposed flight restriction, there's no telling how many people could have been saved or how many people died as a result of the fire chief's actions.
I'm sure he was flooded with emotions and trying to rescue other people, and I just felt that it was best at the time to leave. So I did follow his instructions, and I had a conversation with the female victim before I left, apologized and explained, and she was standing there. She heard the whole conversation, and they were both very, very surprised, very upset. The husband, as I was leaving off of the side of the mountain, at that point, separated from his wife, he was upset. I can only imagine.
By Monday, when the restriction was lifted, Sedum and the Carolina Emergency Response Team were back in the air, delivering much-needed supplies to the desperate people of Lake Lure. But the pain of Sunday's lost opportunity weighed heavy on him. He said, I can only imagine what these people thought. Stranded for hours, no way to communicate, and watching what they thought was their rescue fly right over them.
As I was actually leaving to go back to get my son, the original chief or captain that I spoke to, his crew and himself, they came back over and said, hey man, we can't tell you to go get the victim. We can't even ask you to go get the victim, but we can tell you if you come back with the victim, we'll have you a designated landing spot, and we'll make sure they don't come over here.
So there.
Looking back, Sedum didn't mince words about what he would do if given the chance again.
If I had to do it over again, I would have stopped and I would have rescued as many people until they decided they were going to arrest me.
I know there's not many in my audience that are helicopter pilots, but if you were, would you have obeyed the edicts and the commands of the fire chief who said, hey, we got this handled. If you go in the air again, we're going to arrest you? I mean, what are these tyrannical government agents thinking? That they're going to save these people in unsafe situations from rescue workers who could save them for their own safety? Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. If you want to support the channel further, grab a shirt, but more importantly, understand that in times of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. I'll see you in the next video.
Okay, guys, so you see what I was talking about? You got a police chief who's just so out of touch, and some idiot put this clown in charge. You know, the guy ought to be flogged, absolutely flogged. And if the residents of the area aren't pissed off enough to take care of this clown, you know, you deserve him. Anyway, tell me what you guys think. Share it with as many people as you can, would you please? The more people know about this, the better off it is. Thank you and have a great day.